Hi. Have you ever waited in anticipation for someone to come home? I remember when my son was coming home from being overseas and in the military, and we all kind of waited on the porch looking up and down the road for his car, watching and waiting, anxious for this homecoming to occur. Anticipation that was laced with hope. Well, that's much like what it is in the Advent season. They are the weeks that precede Christmas Day, that day we celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ. It's a time that we need to get ready for the celebration. And too often we rush right to celebrating Christmas and we forget that this is part of a journey home to Christ that we take every year. So this year I'm offering you a walk through the house of Christmas. And each week we will look at a different part of the house and how the four Gospels in the New Testament give us a view of Christ coming into our midst. But each of the Gospels shows us that in a little different way. And all of those ways are needed to experience Christ fully on our journey of faith. So this first week, we begin on the porch. And just like Christmas time, there's traffic coming back and forth and things are going on. But on this porch, truthfully, it can sometimes be a little chilly out here. It can be chilly on the porch depending on where you are or what the weather's like. But that's where we get the clearest view of what's coming down the road. From the porch, we can begin our Advent season by looking down the road in anticipation, and that's where the Gospel of Mark begins. See, the Gospel of Mark does not begin with the birth narrative. The Gospel of Mark actually begins by setting the stage for Christmas, proclaimed from the porch from those who believe and yet do not belong yet. Mark tells us that something good is coming, even though we may not see it yet. And that good is the Messiah. The Messiah's arrival, though, is preceded by the one who says, "Prepare ye the way." A little bit of background on the Gospel of Mark. It was the first of the four Gospels. It was the first one put down on paper. And it was done or written about 30 years after the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. Now, according to tradition, at that time, Peter and Paul and some of the others who were witness to the resurrection and to Christ's life and times in ministry had been killed or had died. And Mark is focused on getting the most important facts out to the newly formed church. So he begins not with the virgin birth or of shepherds or of a star, but he begins with these words. Here begins the good news or the gospel about Jesus Christ, the Messiah, the Son of God. From there, he announces the messenger, whose name is John the Baptist, who baptizes Jesus of Nazareth in the Jordan River. That first moment we see Father, Son, and Spirit all in the same passage. By the voice of the Father, the body of the Son going under the water, and the Holy Spirit as a dove coming upon him. From there, Mark jumps right into Jesus' entry into ministry. Now, scholars have noted that Mark most likely was a protege or a companion of Paul, and that he shared Paul's sentiment in that I preach Christ and him crucified. As author Cynthia Campbell once wrote, she said, Mark reminds us of a hope that is found in the manger because it was first found at the cross. Mark reminds us that hope is only found by setting the tone that emphasizes the good news of the gospel is not just about a miraculous or even a mysterious birth of this Christ child. That the good news is that the man who is the Son of God laid his life down for his friends. And that God raised him up from the dead as a sign that God's love will conquer all. From this perspective, Mark begins our Advent journey by looking over the stretch of road from the porch of our Christmas house, if you will, a road that will lead us home. And from the porch of the Christmas, we can see overall reason for the season in one long panoramic view. at this point, I'm going to let you then turn into the Word, to the passages that are listed in your study guide or on this post, and then follow the questions. If you need more information, message me, email me, give me a call as we take this journey together.